Welcome to Infidelity Secret. Your support is everything to us. 90% of you haven't subscribed yet, so please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so we can keep bringing you amazing content. Also, we'd love to know where you're watching from. Leave your city in the comments. Now, let's dive into today's tale. I don't really know where to start. Maybe because even now, sitting in this quiet corner of my living room, I can't believe I'm the one telling this story. I never thought I'd be the kind of woman who would find herself tangled in something so complicated, so emotionally charged, and so outside the lines of everything I once stood for. But life has a way of unfolding in ways you never expect. And if telling this helps me breathe a little easier, or helps someone else out there who's silently drowning in the same kind of guilt and confusion, then maybe there's some redemption in it. My name is Lisa. I'm 37 years old. I've been married to Aaron for 15 years. We met in college back when everything felt like a movie. He was charming, dependable, a little nerdy in a sweet way. I liked that he wasn't trying to be anyone else. He was just real. We dated for 3 years before we got married. And for a long time, I truly believed we had something solid, something unshakable. We bought a house in a quiet suburb of Indianapolis, started building a life together, talked about having kids, though it never quite happened for us. We tried for a while, and when it didn't work out, we quietly shelved the idea, telling ourselves we were enough for each other. Maybe that was the first crack in the foundation. Maybe it wasn't. It's hard to say. Aaron works in IT. He's good at what he does, focused, sometimes a little too absorbed in his work. I work from home as a freelance graphic designer. That started out as a passion project, but over time it became a career that gave me flexibility and isolation. Most of my days were spent alone, staring at screens, managing deadlines, and living in a routine that started to feel more like repetition than rhythm. Over the years, Aaron and I fell into predictable patterns. We had our Friday night takeout, our Saturday morning errands, our Sunday afternoon chores. We talked about work, the news, and what we needed from the grocery store. Somewhere along the way, we stopped talking about dreams. We stopped asking each other how we felt. We weren't fighting, not really. We just stopped noticing each other in the way we used to. It was like we were roommates who had once been in love. I tried to shake the feeling off. I told myself it was normal. Every long marriage has its dull spots, right? It wasn't that Aaron did anything wrong. He was still kind, still respectful. He still kissed me on the cheek when he left for work, still asked if I needed anything when he stopped by the store. But he was distracted, always tired, always somewhere else mentally. And I was lonely. The loneliness crept in slowly. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet, persistent. Like a draft you don't notice at first until one day you realize you've been cold for a long time. I missed being seen. Not in a vain way, just in a human way. I missed having conversations that didn't revolve around errands or taxes. I missed laughter, the kind that came easily and filled a room. That's when I met Jordan. Jordan wasn't someone I sought out. He wasn't a secret fantasy or some wild temptation. He was just there. He was Aaron's old high school friend. They'd lost touch for years. But a mutual friend brought them back together. And suddenly Jordan was in our lives again. He moved back to Indianapolis after a divorce and started coming around every few weeks. Football games, barbecues, casual hangouts. He was different from Aaron, more outgoing, more emotionally present. He had this way of asking questions and really listening to the answers. He remembered things I said. He laughed at my jokes. He noticed details like when I changed my hair or rearranged the living room. At first, I thought I was just flattered. It felt nice, harmless to be noticed. But over time, I found myself looking forward to the days Jordan would visit. Weeks passed. Aaron and I began living more like roommates navigating a fragile truce than a married couple rebuilding love. There were no harsh words, no accusations, no angry silences, just a heavy, haunting distance. He was still kind, still polite, still made coffee in the mornings and folded the laundry in the evenings. But he no longer kissed my forehead as he used to, no longer asked about my day, no longer lingered in conversation after dinner. It was like we were walking around each other, each of us afraid to speak a word too heavy, to shake the balance of whatever it was we were clinging to. One night, I found him sitting in the garage, an old photo album in his hands. He didn't notice me at first. The pages crackled softly as he turned them, and I stood there silently, watching his face shift through memories, our college days, our first apartment, the dog we had when we were newlyweds. When he finally looked up, his eyes were glistening. "I miss her," he whispered. "Who?" I asked, my throat tight. "You, the woman in these pictures. I miss the way she looked at me, like I mattered more than anything in the world." I wanted to tell him that I missed that version of myself too, that I hadn't realized how much of her I'd lost until it was too late. But I couldn't speak. I just sat beside him and laid my hand on his. He didn't pull away. That night was the first time we cried together. No words, just shared pain, held in quiet sobs and shaking shoulders. Therapy became a regular part of our routine, separate sessions at first, then couples counseling every other Saturday. It wasn't easy. We both had to face uncomfortable truths. Aaron confessed how invisible he had felt too, how he had buried himself in work because it made him feel in control, important, at least somewhere. He admitted that he had sensed the distance between us long before Jordan came into the picture, but didn't know how to fix it. "I thought maybe you were just bored," he said once softly, "or maybe tired of me." And I had to tell him the worst of it, that I had felt unseen, not because of something he did, but because I hadn't been honest with myself for so long. That Jordan didn't break our marriage, he just walked into the wreckage I hadn't acknowledged. We were both broken in different ways. But for the first time in years, we were talking, really talking. Months passed, the house changed. I repainted the living room. Aaron took the old entertainment system apart and built a new shelving unit by hand. We started cooking dinner together again. Not every night, but enough that it felt like a choice, not a chore. The dog started sleeping at the foot of our bed again. But the biggest change was this. One night, we laughed. It was over something small. Aaron had burned the rice, and I teased him about it. And suddenly, we were both laughing, really laughing. And it felt like oxygen returned to the room after months underwater. That night, he kissed me. Hesitant at first, like asking a question he didn't know the answer to. And when I kissed him back, it felt like closing a circle that had been open for too long. We're still not the couple we used to be. Maybe we never will be. But slowly, piece by piece, we're becoming something new. Something honest. Something forged not just from shared joy, but from surviving shared pain. I don't know how our story will end, but I know that for the first time in a long time, we're writing it together. And that's a beginning I can live with. You've been watching Infidelity Secrets, where the lines between love, loyalty, and forgiveness blur in the most unexpected ways. If Lisa's story moved you, don't forget to like, comment, and share your thoughts below. Have you ever faced something similar? What would you have done in her shoes? Let us know. Until next time, take care of your heart. And remember, honesty is never the easy road, but sometimes it's the only one worth taking.